Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday to everyone. It is Friday, February 5th, 2021. This is the Duron Coles Morning Show with your host himself, the Duron Coles. As I say every morning, you can follow me on all socials, whatever you're on, at the Duron Coles. I'm most likely on it too. If you like I always say, if you're new to the show, this is a live show on the Clubhouse app, as well as being recorded as you're watching on YouTube, put it on Facebook, put on any social media platforms as well. It's 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. every morning Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. All right, so let's get right into it today. I want to talk about the Fermi Paradox. So what exactly is that, and why is it the topic of today's conversation? Well, first and foremost, today is Friday, like I said, which is Free Think Fridays, and I did a very quote-unquote serious episode yesterday with Black History Month, episode 18. So I wanted to do a little lighthearted one today and just talk about space, aliens, and anything that really comes to my mind, you know? So let's just dive right into it. The Fermi Paradox. What is the Fermi Paradox? So in general, let's back up. What is a paradox? So a paradox, or a paradoxical statement, is when you say one thing that contradicts another, or a thought that contradicts one another, anything that contradicts one another. So if I was to say that's like the tallest midget, that's a paradoxical statement. Midgets are very, very short, but the tallest midget, or you know what I mean? Like, that's a paradoxical statement. Or the most famous paradox, which I believe is the easiest way to explain it, is the grandfather paradox. It's not good to, when you're defining something, to use another thing that you have to explain to define another thing, but I'm doing it. So the grandfather paradox is a time travel paradox. In very short terms, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but the grandfather paradox is where if you were a time traveler and you go back in time, and either you or somehow your grandfather dies, how would you even be able to time travel? Because if your grandfather dies, then your parents wouldn't be able to be born, then you wouldn't be able to be born to be able to time travel and go back and kill him. So how did he die? How were you born? How did you time travel? It's a paradoxical statement. One thing happened that canceled each other out, right? So the Fermi Paradox, what exactly is that? The Fermi Paradox is the phenomenon that even though there are so many, I'll word it like this. So there are so many stars out there in space. There's so many planets, so many galaxies, so many moons. There's so much out there, more than we can even fathom. Like actually, there's more. They say that there's more stars out there in space and in the sky than there are grains, little tiny grains of sand in the world. So you've been to the beach and you've picked up a whole grain, like a whole pile of sand. That's like a galaxy. That's just one. And you see how much sand there still is once you just pick up one, right? There's more stars than there are sands on all the beaches everywhere around the world. So if there's so many stars, so many planets, moons, galaxies, there has to be life out there, right? It just mathematically, if we were able to produce life, there has to be some form of life out there somewhere. But the paradox becomes where, well, if the percentiles say that there should be, then where are they? It's because even if there's a 1 in a like quadrillion chance, which is, it goes billion, trillion, then quadrillion. Even if there's a 1 in quadrillion chance that life can happen, and there's some equation that they say, I think it's 1 in trillion something that life should be able to happen. Even if that's the case, there are so many planets and so many stars out there, the chances of it happening are fairly high. Not just a one-time accident that created us and these phones and computers and water bottles and everything else we see around us. If there's so much life, or if the percentage says that there should be life, then why is it just us? And I think that is an awesome topic for Free Think Fridays because it really, really, really should get your mind going. First things first, more than just seeing humans, seeing us. Like I just started naming, like we have plastic, we have like so many things, you know. If we have so many items, so much trash, so much debris that humans have created, even the things that we send to space like satellites, if there are so much, then how can we never find any other society's trash either? I think that is the big thing. Even if we don't find them, we always find relics or their trash, and you can look at archaeology for that. Every year, every other year, they come and find old scriptures, old scrolls, old tools of older societies, and then they're able to say, there was life here 20,000 years ago. There was life, you know what I mean? If we're looking for there to be people there, or rather, if we were looking for ancient Egyptians, we wouldn't find them right now. Like, if for example, if we went to another planet, Mars, and we were looking for ancient Egyptians, we wouldn't find them, but we might find their trash, all the relics and everything they used to have. That doesn't seem to be the case on anywhere we go. And we haven't explored too heavily other planets, but one thing they've done is they've looked for heat signatures or carbon footprints, like how if we have one. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. I think that is its own conundrum, and I could just be doing like a scapegoat or something. I don't think that's the right term, but I could be just trying to project what I want to happen. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. So I think once we do start to explore more planets, which obviously we're going to the moon very soon. For those of you that don't know, or because I keep up with this stuff every day because I'm so interested in it, Amazon and Jeff Bezos, they have a plan and a mission to go to the moon in 2023, and SpaceX and Elon Musk, they have a plan to go to Mars by 2024 and on. So we're going to all these different spaces. I didn't mean that. Like, don't take that. That was a good joke. But we're going to space and going to all these different places. I didn't mean to say different spaces. But to talk about what I was talking about before, I think we are very biased in when we are looking for life, because we only know us as carbon beings. We're made with oxygen, carbon dioxide, and carbon, and blood, and we're made the way we are made. And I think we're very biased when we're only looking for those footprints or those types of things when we're looking for things out of space. There could be everything that we know on Earth, including all the animals, including everything, is carbon-based. So we always say, well, carbon must be like the fundamental element of matter, of life. They must have some type of oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen. But I think that's biased, because we could travel to a planet that is like Uranus or something that's millions and billions and so far away from us that they don't even use carbon at all. They actually breathe hydrogen, or they breathe helium. They exhale helium and inhale nitrogen, just like how we exhale carbon dioxide and inhale oxygen. They could be like, nope, we exhale helium and we exhale sodium. I don't know. Or hydrogen, helium, lithium. I'm trying to think of all the gases. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, nitrogen. They could, but you get where I'm going. We look at ourselves and we say, yep, this is like the only way that life could do it, or that the universe could do it. And I think that's incorrect. And I don't know that, because we don't know what to look for besides ourselves. I don't have an idea of like, oh, well, we should be looking for potassium-based creatures. I don't know what to tell people, what to tell the scientists to look for, but I think we need to try something different if we haven't found anything yet. And there are obviously different accounts of alien like abductions or alien visits or crop circles and all of those phenomenon or stories, but there's never any evidence, and maybe they don't want to be seen, but I mean the universe is so big, it would make sense if we were the only ones in this galaxy. I'm not gonna lie, but that doesn't mean we're the only ones out there. However, there's just so many questions. They say the universe is 13.8 billion years old, and the Earth itself is about 4-ish billion years old. So we're only like 1/3. Not even humans, but our Earth, our planet is only 1/3 of history. You know what I mean? Like there's a whole nother third and another third that's been out there. There could have been Earths before us and things happening before us, and they claim like that it's impossible, or that's like that doesn't show. That's what they say, but I'm not too sure that we have all the answers. And like I said, I think we're very arrogant that we think we do. We don't even know our own history on Earth, or as the United States, or as Egypt. You know what I mean? Like individual states and countries, let alone the history of the universe, the vast universe. And I'm not coming at the scientists, because I know some people dedicate their entire lives to this. You know what I mean? So I definitely I'm not going to understate the things that they've done. However, I think that the scientific community isn't as open-minded as they need to be, and we could definitely do more to find more. But like I talked about, I think that it could have been yesterday, it might have been 2 days ago when I was talking about Amazon. I think that that space travel and the space industry is about to blow up over the next 20 years, and we are going to find some crazy things. I don't know if we'll find like life itself, but like I said before, I think we'll find some form of artifacts, or we'll find their trash. That's what I keep calling it. And I'm not, once again, I'm not going to assume that the things that we use are the things they use. We are polluting and diluting our own society by using plastic and using those rings that go around like Pepsi cans and stuff. Like which is still also plastic, but we are polluting our own society by letting those things go in our oceans, and we just throw water bottles out of our windows and they go on the sidewalks. So maybe a civilization like that we found on Mars, or that we found artifacts of, they avoided a path of using plastics, or avoided using ethanol for gas. You know, so like I said, I think the fact that we look for the things that we use in society as like the tell-all be-all is our downfall, in my opinion. I think that holds us back. And not to switch topics completely, but I was doing, like I call it weird YouTube. I always go on weird YouTube while I'm at work for the day. I have to work for 8 hours a day, and I need something like to just play in the background. And I went down like a rabbit hole of where they were talking about Enoch and the banned book of Enoch inside the Hebrew Bible, and how it like relates to Enoch relates to I don't know if it's the ancient Samaritans, or it's someone used to. Let me get to the point, because I don't know the history. But they were saying that Enoch, or the lost books of Enoch, say that there were these watchers that came down long ago, and they came and they were like, they gave humans certain knowledge, or like they basically they gave humans like the tools and the knowledge for things that they didn't know. In one of the books or one of the passages, it says that the Watchers came down and gave or taught humans about breastplates, and taught them about armor, and taught them about spears and shields and stuff. And it also says that eventually these Watchers were looked at as like, so in the Bible sometimes they could be called fallen angels, and Enoch calls them Watchers. There's another society that calls them the Anunnaki. I was in this for hours. And the way that my memory works, for those of you that don't know, I'm like a sponge. I don't really have to hear things more than once to really like memorize it and be able to just display it or to splurge it out. But where I'm going with is, they were saying that the Watchers came from like the sky, and then Enoch basically the gods or the Watchers or whatever got tied, or they started to breed with the humans, which created like a whole different types of species, and basically they had to be wiped out with the Great Flood. So apparently as the story goes, they say Enoch was taken up with a fiery chariot, is what they call it. And Enoch himself in his books describes it as like, he basically is describing a spaceship. He talks about when he's standing up there, he was able to see through the floor. He didn't know it was called glass. He said he called it like see-through. He could see through the floor, or they called it the ground. I could see through the ground, and under the ground I could see all the stars below us. And basically where I'm going with this is, the people on the weird YouTube they've suggested that Enoch, maybe these Watchers, or maybe that it was some type of alien species. And I hate to use the word alien, because when we say alien, we think of like the green men, or the people with no hair. They look slimy, and they don't look like us. So I rather would say like extraterrestrial, because it means just anything that's not from here. So the people on weird YouTube are suggesting that the story of Enoch and the Watchers and the Anunnaki and all those different societies, it would help describe how humans started to evolve so quickly. We got a lot of knowledge very, very quickly, and there has to be, as Graham Hancock calls it, and he's not part of this story, but he talks about something like this. He calls it a transference of technology. He said, if you go to there's this old like archaeological finding called Göbekli Tepe, Göbekli Tepe, and in that area around 11,800 years ago, and I only know that number because he spits that out so much. So in that area around 11,800 years ago, at Göbekli Tepe, the people in that area very, very quickly went from hunter-gatherers, and meaning that they were hunting for food and they didn't have any knowledge of like plants or anything like that, almost overnight. And in the span of the universe, almost overnight is a couple of years, because it didn't take thousands, if not tens of thousands of years. It was in the span of a couple of years, they went from hunter-gatherers to an agricultural society. They knew about plants, they knew about pottery, they knew about tools. They immediately started to grow their own crops, and there's no history of them building the technologies. And what I mean by that is, when something is being built, and you could use your own iPhone as an example. When something is being built, before you get to the quote unquote perfect version, there need to be other versions of it first. Before we had flat screen TVs, there were cathode ray TVs, or back in the 50s and 60s, they were black and white. Then we got the color. Then we got the TVs with the butts. And then we got the flat TVs that we have now. And we went from 1080p now to 4K. You see how there was versions of those technologies we had to progress? If you go back and go look at the hunter-gatherer society, there is no progressive technology. They just immediately went and became an agricultural society. They started planting. They started taking their own crops. And why that's very important is because some people believe that like I said, there had to be some type of transference of technology, meaning it would be like today, and these societies still exist today. It would be like today if we went to a remote society that's never been, like, they don't have the things that we have, right, with our technology. Imagine if we went there and we went and gave them an iPhone. And then whatever, that over the span of 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, they studied it, they took it apart, and they were able to, like, replicate it. And they might not have the tools right now that they can, but an iPhone is very, very complex. So let's go back for something like agriculture. Imagine if they weren't growing their own plants and they didn't know about planting corn in the ground. Imagine immediately if you told them, yo, you don't have to go and kill bugs, monkeys, and take berries off trees. You can actually grow your own food. You chop down these trees, take the roots out, plant them, water it, feed it, and then whatever food that comes out, you can take the seeds of that food and plant it again, and it'll be a cycle. It'll keep coming. Well, immediately you would see a difference in not only their society but in their environment. You would start to see trees fall down. You would start to see the animals and the livestock stay alive longer because you can kill less of it. And that's exactly what you saw in the Göbekli Tepe archaeological site. So, and I'm going to get to that too. That's a whole nother topic. The fact that we look back on history and think the things couldn't happen, the same things that we're able to do today, we look back and say, well, that's impossible. That couldn't have happened. It's just not true. But that's its own topic that I'll get to in about 5 minutes. So where I was going with the whole transference of technology, that little spiel, they claim with Enoch that could have been the same thing, but 20, 30, 40,000 years before that. Maybe my timeline is off because, like I said, I don't know the history, but basically before 11,800 years ago, they claim that maybe that could have happened beforehand. So I have to obviously talk about the biggest, like, alien mystery that people to this day, scientists to this day, still don't know anything about. The Egyptian pyramids. Basically, the short story on that, so that I don't have to go into too much detail, is there are a lot of philosophers and a lot of scientists from not our day, but from about 2,000 years ago, and I mean like Plato and scientists like that. They traveled to Egypt 2,000 years ago. This is like in ancient Greece time when they had like the gladiator fights. They traveled to Egypt and the pyramids were there already, and they always ask, like, yo, who made these pyramids? What are they here for? And even the people of that day said, we don't know. And the people of their time, they say that this pharaoh, I don't remember their name. His name completely. I don't want to mispronounce it. It's like Cairo or Hito or something like that. This pharaoh was able to make those pyramids, and if you take the direct translation from their language to either Hebrew or whatever the language was, it directly, like, translates to the name Enoch. So they say that Enoch, or they're thinking, or there are some that think that Enoch created the pyramids with the help of the Watchers. And that's why it's so, if you don't know about the pyramids, to give a very, very short tangent on that, the pyramids have geometry and are aligned with astronomy even more so than we could probably do today if we tried, using all the technology we have. And when we look back at all those societies, we go, there's no way that they could have built this, but yet it is built. So if you for those of you that once again don't know, the stones that were built to build the Egyptian pyramid, or they're mostly limestone, but the closest quarry to get limestone in that area is like 5 to 10 miles away. It might be more than that. So, and these stones weigh tons. Like, try to go pick up a big boulder outside, let alone a 1 ton boulder, and they weighed tons. And then they were shaped, and they're made into perfect squares, and there are millions of these stones to make all 3 of the pyramids. So, and they say it obviously took a long time, but the way that it was built, the sharp corners and the geometry of it is just something that we can barely replicate today. And even using the tools and all the scientific stuff that we have today, they said they don't. It's to this day, 2021. They say they don't know if they would be able to build a pyramid like that one. The way that it's aligned with astronomy and its exact coordinates, the tip of the pyramid points to this star and these constellations and this thing, and it's aligned with true north and all this other stuff. But some claim it would make sense if, once again, there was some form of transference of technology or a lot of help from people that weren't exactly here before us. So, like I said in the beginning, this is definitely like I said, it's Free Think Fridays, and this is a wonderful topic of conversation to just let your mind wander and just think about the things that were here before us. Think about the things that'll be here after us. I think it's amazing when I think about history and the way that the way that they use these years loosely has always blown my mind. They talk about like, oh yeah, this happened 11,800 years ago. Think about the people that lived around that time. They were just running around. They didn't have technology like we do. What did they do on their day-to-day? Like, did they go and climb trees for fun? Did they go and dig holes? Like, what did they do on their day-to-day for fun? And think about what you do on your day-to-day for fun. Like, you go on Instagram and go on your phone and chill or whatever. And we don't even consider that there could be life 11,800 years from now from us. But that they probably didn't consider that either, if you look back. So I think it's amazing that we've been able to last so long as a society, as humans. And we've seen the fall and rise over and over and over again. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's just amazing to me. And kind of to transition to what I was about to say before, when I was transitioning my sentence, I was saying that scientists and archaeologists and all these high educated people, because they've studied this their whole life, they always try to say like what we could or we couldn't do. And talking about the subject that I was just talking about with transference of technology, they say that there's no way that a society could have transferred, there's no way that anything could have did a transference of technology back then. But I say that that's impossible because, like I just said, with the remote societies of today's world, we can still do that right now. There are societies where, and I've talked about this in a prior podcast, or prior episode rather, and I don't go too much in detail to it like I'm about to right now, but there are remote societies in the Amazon and all around the world, honestly, and they don't even know it, but they're part of countries, and these countries have like treaties with everyone else around the world that says, hey, we're not going to go bother them, just let them do them, and just let them chill. And these societies, they don't have any technology, they don't even have shoes. They still are the the way that we think of people in loincloths only covering their private areas, and they have these spears. Like, they still have spears. They still climb trees and stuff. If I get a lot of stuff from Joe Rogan's podcast, not him himself, but the people that he has on there. I go and I follow these people, and I go and try to study the information that they've released. And I don't know the gentleman's name, but I did know his name, but I don't have it right now. It's slipping my mind. But basically, he was able to go. He got the permission to go to one of these hidden, no, it's not a secret, but these remote societies. And basically, he said, if you could just see the children or the people, he said not as well as Tarzan depicted it, but they actually like swing through the trees. They climb trees in seconds. Like, where we are able to just get up and run, like, oh, I'm going to go take you know how you're able to accelerate real quick to your top speed, maybe like 3, 4, 5 seconds? That's what they're able to do with climbing trees. They look at the top of a tree, and then boom, they can just climb to the top of it, because that's all they've done since they were kids, and that's all they do in their society. They don't have technology. They have like shamans. If something is, he said that they went down there. Their main goal was to give them like medical supplies and see if they could cure anything that was wrong with them. They all had ringworm, each and every single one of them, because they walk around with no shoes. They all had like some form, I think it was like smallpox or chicken pox or something like that. And they were trying to, they gave their shamans, they gave them a lot of Western like medicine practice, and said, hey, if something happens with this person, this is what you should be doing. It'll help them faster. They gave them a lot of those things. But they flew in on a helicopter. So you have to realize that if these people have never even seen like the smallest of smallest technologies that we take for granted, that I can't even, it's the things that are so small that we look as regular that I can't even think of right now. Like, even something as simple as a plastic water bottle. Think about something like that. They've never seen something like that. Maybe they've seen it wash across their shores, but they've never made anything like that. So, to get to where my spiel is going, imagine they see a helicopter. All they do is they have these gods right now that they think the sun is produced by a god, rain is produced by a god, thunder, lightning, and everything else. If they are able to, anything that they have in their life, So we come and we fly in on a helicopter, and they look like, what is that? And now we could change their entire background and their entire society of how they look at things. Now we leave, and they can tell stories for hundreds of years of the watchers or the people that once came on their flying machine. They don't even know what a machine is, so they just say on their flying thing. They came in on a flying thing. They gave us medicine. They cured us of all our diseases, and then in the blink of an eye, they were gone. And to us, we're like, yeah, like we go on a podcast that we talk about it. We're like, yeah, I went to a remote society and I helped the people. And them back there, they're in caves or they're on trees, carving trees, saying, yo, we were visited by the gods. The gods came. It looked like a white man, the white Jesus. It looked like a white man. He had these materials that they gave to us that were able to pass down from generation to generation. And now we've accelerated their and I don't want to call it this, but that's the only word I have. Their industrialization, we've accelerated that because they've now seen the tools and the medicine that we're able to use. Now they'll have longer, their lifespans will now be longer. And he did say that too. He said a lot of kids die out there. He said like it's very sad. He said people get sick or they might be swimming in the ocean. He told one story how there was an alligator. An alligator twisted and broke this kid's arm and did all this nasty stuff. And if they weren't there to save it, they said they were just going to let the guy die. They gave him like some local like medicinal stuff to try to ease his pain, but they were just going to let him die. They said this happens all the time. We can't save him. And another alligator got to this kid. They said that happens all the time out there. So imagine if we gave them something, and I don't know if he did. I'm pretty sure they didn't. But imagine if we gave them something like a harpoon or something to kill alligators. Now they're able to live longer. A lot of their kids that weren't able to study or learn before, they learned things that they couldn't learn before. I think he left them with medical books. He left them with a lot of books. He said we have most definitely accelerated their industrialization or their progressiveness. What's the word that I'm looking for? What's his face did it with the finches? It was just on the tip of my tongue. It doesn't matter. But evolution. There we go. As soon as I say it doesn't matter, it always comes back to me. We have now progressed their evolution. So let's say we obviously don't know how they were going to evolve before, but let's say that they were going to evolve at a rate of like 1. Let's just call it that. Now they can evolve at a rate of 3 because we left them with books and medicine, and they saw a helicopter. So now that they are able to visualize something like that, they might be able to make it. We say that in the past 11,800 years ago, oh, the transference of technology, that would have been impossible. We can do that today. And like I've said before, I think I've said it today and even in the past, we're so arrogant to think that the things that we're doing today have never been done before. But they say that humans as people have been around for hundreds of thousands of years. The oldest people that you've ever met probably in your life are in their 90s. Maybe you've met someone that's 100. And there have been people that have been around for hundreds of thousands of years. You can't even start to fathom how long that is because we don't live that long. You think the ancient Egyptians are old? Max, that's like 3,000 to 4,000 years old. Ancient Greece, max, that's 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 years old. Max. People were around another 1,000 years before that, and another 1,000 before that. And look at the things that we've been able to do in, well, first of all, look at the things we've been able to do in 50 years. But let's just look at the things we've been able to do in 400 years. We came here on little ships in like okay, let's go back 600. In the 1400s, we came to the United States on little ships, and we didn't really know much. And then we were able to progress into this society with 50 states. We're considered the richest country because of all the technology we have. There's billionaires. There's look at the society we've made in 600 years. 600. And you mean to tell me there are people that have been around for not 10 times as long as that, not 100 times as long as that. Okay, 10 would be 6,000. Another 10 would be 60,000. So yeah, so hundreds of times more than 600 years. And our people only live max. We have a max lifespan of like 110 years. Max. Absolute max. That's nothing. That is nothing. If someone that, let's just say someone born in 1910, right? Which Betty White is not. We can use Betty White. And I've done this obviously before. But I think I used Barbara Walters. But just think, and I'm doing something different now, but think about the things that Betty White has been able to see. She just turned, I think, 98 or 99 years old. Think about the things she's been able to see in 99 years. They used to drive like she was still around when cars were brand new and they had wagons. Like wagons were all the rage. And just like how right now, if you want a good comparison, right now, if someone has a Tesla, it's like, oh man, they're pretty well off. They have an electric car that looks like that, whatever, cool. That's how it was back then in the early 1900s. Like if you had a wagon and then someone had a gas powered car, it was like, oh wow, they're pretty well off. Like my wagon, there's nothing wrong with my wagon. Everyone has a wagon. But if you got a car, you're pretty well off. She was around back then, and now she's able to see the fact that there's cars that travel from 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds. They were probably, when the cars were first invented, they didn't even go 60 miles an hour. When she was born, they didn't even think about a computer. That wasn't even in their thought process. And now in the last just 25 years, computers have taken over our entire existence. So you mean to tell me in 25 years we've done this much, and in 99 years, to use Betty White, we've done this much, but they think 11,800 years ago that we weren't able to transfer technology? You're arrogant and you're wrong. Because I obviously have not put in the work like they have, but it's just, to me, it's just common sense. Literally. Take another 10,000 years before that. Someone else could have done this. And then another 10,000 before that, someone else could have done that. It doesn't, and like the whole thing that this started with, the Fermi Paradox, if the world is 13.8 billion years old, and just on Earth is 4 billion years old, and then humans are around 100 million years old, and then the dinosaurs in themselves are like 60 or 100 or 200 million years old. Like, there's so many things that we just do not know. And to wrap it up, what I'm excited for next, and I'll most likely make this its own topic of conversation, because this will be awesome. It'll be either awesome or horrifying. But I think that we're going to be able to, this is probably going to take I'll put it like this. We just talked about all this space stuff, right? And Jeff Bezos stepping down, and I talked about this maybe 2 days ago. Because Jeff Bezos is stepping down, he's going to put more money into the space race, the space technology forefront, which is going to make Tesla do their thing and step up, which is going to make the processes that make their ships go to other planets. It's going to make them get faster, which is going to make our phones get faster, which is going to make everything get faster, right? If that's the case, let's use that propulsion, or that propelling of technology. Let's just use the fact that it's about to go ham, right? So take another 50 to 75 years. There's going to be some form of technology that they're probably aiming for Mars that we're going to be able to do here on Earth. Let's say that they come up with some type of AI or technology that they're able to just plug in dirt samples and scan an environment and be able to run the analysis of everything that's happened in this area over the last 1 million, if not in the next 75 years, 1 billion years, right? They can scan an area and say, what happened here? Imagine if they're able to do that to Earth, and we're able to just see our history and can watch it like a movie. You're able to say, okay, I want to go back to 300 million years ago, and it just comes up like a projection, and they say, this is what was going on during this time. And then you could fast forward it or whatever from 300 million years to now, and you're able to see the pyramids being built. You're able to see things that we've never seen before. And I think that's the closest that we'll get to space, to quote unquote time travel. I don't think we'll be able to go there, but I think we're going to put so much effort in us trying to figure out what has happened in other planets past, like Mars, or maybe Jupiter and all these other other planets, that we're able to see what's happened on ours. And I think that's going to be an awesome time. And like I said, to wrap it up with the Fermi Paradox, I think first and foremost we're looking for the wrong things, and I think we're too arrogant to find anything, because we can't even find what's going on our planet because of arrogance. I don't think we're going to be able to find something in interstellar space. And also the question just arises if anyone even wants to come see us. But I also think that that's wrong, because if we're studying ants and we're studying monkeys and we're studying rats and those things, I think that if there was some crazy technologically advanced society, they'd probably want to come see us. Like, oh, they're about to go to Mars. You guys remember when we did that? When we were able to go to our first planet? It would be like if monkeys were able to if monkeys just started doing push-ups, or if they started tinkering on technologies, we'd watch them, and we probably wouldn't interrupt them. We just watch them from afar, like, yo, there's monkeys that are using tools to make communication devices. I don't want to call it a phone or whatever, but they're making communication devices. They're trying to talk from one another 20 feet away, even if they was just like the string in the cup. You know what I mean? Like, if they had the mindset to make that, we would probably watch them like, yo, look at them. They're trying to figure it out, but they can't. And then one day they do. That's the same way they would probably look at us. If they're so far advanced from us that they're able to travel from galaxy to galaxy or planet to planet already, unlike us, they'd probably look at us like, yo, let's see if they're doing it different. Maybe we can learn something from them. Maybe we can laugh at them because they're doing it this way, and they have no idea that they're hundreds of years behind because they're of this one thing that they're thinking of. So, like I said, Free Think Fridays. It was definitely good to just let my mind just go and ramble. And now I will open the floor for any questions. I know there's probably going to be some good questions. All right, if there's no questions, I'll most likely wrap it up there. I can't think of anything else I want to... The only thing I really want to expand on for like another 2 minutes or 3 minutes is the thought of, what if this story of Enoch or these transference of technologies, what if they actually like happened? How would that change how we look at ourselves or view ourselves? Humans right now look at themselves as like this advanced civilization that went through all this evolution, and we just got here the quote-unquote hard way. It took us millions of years of evolution from a one single form bacteria to get to where we are now. What if that wasn't the case at all? And there was this this is a perfect way to wrap it up. And our movies in our minds tend to relate to what's going on in our societies or in our world. So as I was watching all these Enoch videos and all these things, they talked about 2001: A Space Odyssey. In the beginning of 2001: A Space Odyssey, there were these two like monkey clans, monkey tribes that were fighting, and they were trying to they're fighting for like a water pit. They're like, who's going to be able to drink water here? So when the one tribe is like away, one comes and does it, and then the other one chases them off, and so forth and so forth. It happens back and forth to the point where one doesn't have an advantage over the other. But eventually this monolith comes down that these monkeys discover, and it doesn't say anything, it doesn't do anything, but when they discover it and touch it, I don't know. I didn't watch the movie. They were just explaining it, and I actually do need to watch that movie. It's regarded as one of the like top 10 best movies like of all time. So that, if you didn't hear me, it's called 2001: A Space Odyssey. So from there, that monolith, I don't know how, but it gives them a transference of technology or a transference of information. So like immediately the one monkey clan, they discover like, if we grab this, like these bones, we'll be able to turn them into clubs. We can club the other monkeys with them and threaten them, and if they try to drink from the water here, we can actually like hurt them. That's their first use of tools. They grabbed a tool to be able to harm the other species, and from there, that helped that monkey clan. They started drinking water, and they started evolving, and they advanced into the humans that we know today that use tools. This is all in the movie. So that monolith gave them that information and helped and immediately sped up their evolution to where they then evolved to be able to use tools and become the humans we know today and make computers and make everything. And then at the end of the movie, eventually the humans got to the moon. And I didn't know this. At the time that movie was written, we had never gone to the moon yet. So we got to the moon, and there was a monolith on the moon as well, just like the one they don't know at this time. They didn't know that the monkeys had that monolith way back then, but there was another one on the moon. As soon as they got to the moon, it was kind of like an alarm system. That's how they described it. And that monolith didn't give any information. It kind of just showed or alarmed the original people that put the monolith in the monkey society. It said, yo, they made it to space. Like, they're out here. They were able to evolve so much, so they left the Earth, and they're here now. That planet, and they're here now. So, where I went to go with that is literally what I've been describing, or what is a big possibility that could have happened. If we think that it's impossible for the pyramids to have been built when they were, in the way that they were, I think we had help. And I think people take it way out of context when someone says that. Like, oh, the spaceships came down and I don't think it was like that. I don't think it was, they came and they said, take us to your leader, and I don't know how it went, but I don't think it's as crazy as we think it is. I think it was probably you ever be at an airport and you're looking outside and you see a plane land and it just looks like smooth. No one really gets into too much. Like, it's not a big thing. Unlike, obviously, a rocket. Like, rockets, if you've ever seen a rocket take off or land, it's big and it's boom and it's a lot. In my head, the way I've always seen it, if we were to get help from some type of society like that, some type of civilization, and they came to bring us help, or I don't think they came to give us help. I think it ended up just being like that. But they probably landed something smooth, like an airplane. It wasn't like a big boom or anything crazy like a rocket ship. It was probably, they landed easy like a plane. They said, let's see what's going on here. They saw and they said, well, we're able to help. And we can see that in today's society when someone from the United States goes to India or goes to China or goes to wherever, and they go, oh, you guys are having this problem? Well, have you ever thought about doing it like this? I can help. It's literally what we do right now. So I'm going to end it there. And I hope I was able to, I got one before I end it.
This is a little off topic, but Super Bowl coming up on Sunday. Who's your pick?
Before I end it, my pick, Chiefs. I'll give a mini 30-second tangent on why I think so. I think that the Buccaneers are going to slaughter them in the first two quarters, because if you don't know already, the Chiefs left tackle and right tackle, they're starters. They're normally Pro Bowlers. They're out. They're injured. And the Bucs defensive line is crazy right now. Like, it's immaculate. So I think that they're going to dominate the line. So they're not going to be able to run. They're going to have to pass. And the Bucs are probably going to be up something like 14-3, and then going into like halftime. And then I think the Chiefs, there's going to be a battle in halftime. Chiefs will probably pull it out something like 28-24. That's my prediction.
Oh, all right.
Who you got?
I got the Bucs. I've been playing with them in Madden. They middle linebackers crazy. Yeah, and they got some corners that's they not no rookies.
Yeah, their defense.
Receiving core is crazy too. Leonard Fournette, yo, I ain't gonna lie, this is gonna be a game.
Yeah, I really hope that this game lives up to it. And normally the Super Bowl, if you guys are not aware with sports betting, they call something the under and the over. They say if you combine both the team scores, you should get to like a number. So right now the over under for this game is 55, meaning if the Chiefs score 28 and the Bucs score 27, that's 55. a lot of Super Bowls, if you look at the past, all go under. And I'm really, really hoping that this game goes over. The last game that went over was the Eagles versus Patriots. That was the last one.
Oh no.
The Tom Brady that game threw 512 yards. I hope that there's a game like that. But that man is 43. I don't know if he'll be able to do something like that. But I hope Mahomes and Brady battle for the GOAT status. I really hope so. Whoever wins that, and I've said this, I'm going to end it at this. Whoever wins this game will most likely end up being the GOAT. Most likely. Brady, if he wins, he's the GOAT, and it can never be changed. In my opinion, it can never be changed if he retires. But if Mahomes retires, it doesn't automatically make him the GOAT. But I think it gives him the stamp to become the GOAT because he beat who we call the GOAT now, and all he would have to do is then go get a couple MVPs, a couple more Super Bowls, and he can have on his resume. And I think he would have to go undefeated in the Super Bowl. If he goes like 5-0 in the Super Bowl, and he said, I also beat Brady and I got 4 MVPs, he would be the GOAT in my eyes. But if he loses tomorrow, in my opinion, you can never be the GOAT. It'd be like if Jordan beat LeBron, and then LeBron's like, oh, but I got all these stats. Doesn't matter. You didn't beat him when you had the chance. So I'm going to end it there, guys. I hope the Super Bowl is full of wings and pizza and fun. And I hope everybody has a great weekend, and I will see you guys here on Monday. Peace.